Hello everyone, today is 23rd of April, now it's 15 past 10 in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first news update, news summary of the day. And well, there is quite a number of very important developments and news that I'd like to share with you for this moment, and I will start with a short summary of the situation on Ukrainian battlefield or in the zone of special military operation. And probably at this point, all of you are informed that yesterday Russian Defense Ministry made a statement that Novomykhailovka settlement is under full Russian control on the South Donetsk sector of the Frontline. So it's official now. Russian Defense Ministry made an official statement about it, and Russian forces are now pushing towards Paraskovievka settlement and also in the fields on the southern side of Novomykhailovka and Paraskovievka, and conducting some local scale offensive operations quite successfully. And what is also important, by the way, and interesting, Russian forces significantly improving their positions in Krasnogorovka area, which is here, and seems like Ukrainian defense lines are collapsing in this settlement in Krasnogorovka. And you might be surprised to hear that in Avdeevka direction, according to some Russian sources, Ocheretino is also become under full Russian control. Several media outlets even report about it. I was surprised to hear this, and I am still little skeptical that this information is 100% correct. But for example, Vzгляд newspaper is reporting that Ukrainian units ran away from Ocheretino, and as in mixed of chaos that was among Ukrainian military personnel in Ocheretino due to several units leaving their positions and running away. Russian military personnel from 433rd Regiment of 27th Division conducted off-center group of forces conducted offensive operation and established control over the settlement. But yet again, I think maybe this is a too early call. But that's what several military channels and media outlets are reporting, that Russian forces not just improved their positions significantly in Ocheretino, but established full control over the settlement, which is really surprising. We all know that it's only a matter of time when Russian side will establish control over this settlement, but I definitely didn't expect Ukrainian defense lines to collapse in this village this fast. But yet again, maybe this is an earlier call. Yet, let's wait what additional information we will receive today. And Russian forces continue to increase pressure on Ukrainian units in Chisov Yar direction, another hotspot, of course, on the battlefield. And even though there are no reports about ground operations yet, at least sectoral scale ground operations, Russian Air Force and long-range artillery are pounding points of concentration of Kiev regime forces. That, according to several channels, morale among Ukrainian units in this area in Chisov Yar is extremely low, which may be indicator, if true, that we should expect that there will be large number of POWs, Ukrainian POWs in this area. Most likely hundreds and maybe even thousands of Ukrainian military personnel will lay down arms and surrender. And this is it when it comes to short summary. Once again, Novomykhailovka on southern Donetsk sector is under full Russian control. This information is confirmed by Russian Defense Ministry. Russian forces further improving positions in Krasnogorovka, southern flank of Donetsk sector, and in Avdeevka direction. According to some reports, and we should take this report with pinch of salt, because I'm not quite sure about it. I would like this information to be true, but let's take it with some cautious. But according to some reports, Ocheretino is under full Russian control, and And even if this settlement not yet under full Russian control, because a number of units ran away from settlement and there was a chaos in this area among Ukrainian military personnel, most likely Russian side had very significant advances in this area. Yet again, let's wait. During the day, military channels will provide us with much greater information, I believe. And Russian forces further preparing Chisov Yar, their positions in Chisov Yar for final operations. First of all, to establish control over the most eastern part of the Chisov Yar, which is a canal district. Okay, that's been said. Let's go through some other news now. This is RIA Novosti's report about Novomykhailovka, and this is Vzгляд newspaper's report about situation in Ocheretino. And RIA Novosti report that in Odessa there was explosions heard yesterday, and according to several channels on Telegram, Russian forces destroyed yet another Ukrainian air defense system with precise strike. And every time I hear information about strikes in Odessa region, this information pops to my mind that we had a couple of days ago about deployment of 1,000 French military personnel into Odessa region. No big channels reported about it, no media outlets reported about it, just small channels. And then at some point military summary also mentioned this. And I devoted separate program on my Patreon to this topic, French military personnel in Odessa region, where they can be deployed, and what may be the indicator that this information is correct and French troops are in the region. And one of the indicators, in my opinion, was increased strikes, possible increased strikes, Russian forces in Odessa direction. We definitely have increase in strikes towards Odessa region. And I mean, I will take a couple of minutes and try to, explain my take on this topic in several sentences. In my opinion, if we will see further increase of strikes in Odessa direction, especially towards this area, by the way, towards this most southeastern part of Odessa region, which used to be before Second World War part of Romania, then probably we will have a good enough indicator to make conclusion that possibly there are some foreign troops in this area, French troops, maybe Romanian troops or some others also, and Russia is targeting those troops. And why am I saying about this particular area? Because if we increase number of strikes, even since the beginning of special military operation, I would not do it right now because my notebook is not strong enough and it will just freeze because of the too much information. But I tried it on my during my update for Patreon, and this area, by the way, is almost empty of any icons. You can see now there's icons all along the line of contact, but almost nothing ever in this area, with the exception of these portal cities on Danube River, Kilia, Reni, Ismail, and so on, that are used by Kyiv regime to receive weapon systems through Danube River and to launch their maritime drones through from Danube River also towards Black Sea. And it seems logical to me that because in last, let's say, last year and a half, even since the beginning of special military operation, there was very few strikes in this direction, with the exception of these portal cities. I mean, this landmass was almost never targeted. And now if we will see increase in Russian strikes in this direction, that definitely, in my personal opinion, will be indicator that some foreign troops have been deployed in this area. And, well, my take on this situation is that I don't think France or Western ruling elites will challenge Russia over their Odessa, to control Odessa. I just don't think that's plausible. But it is possible that Western ruling class will try to when Ukraine will start undergo full-scale disintegration and Western Ukraine will become under control of NATO, probably during that process, NATO will also try to establish control over this part of Odessa region, which used to be part of Romania before Second World War. And this is very important for NATO because if they will establish control over this area, they will have a full control over the waterway, major European waterway, which is Danube River. From Germany, where this river starts, up to Black Sea. And Danube, by the way, goes through 10 European countries in Central and Southern European countries, from Romania, then Bulgaria, Serbia, Slovakia, Austria, I mean Croatia at some point. It's a major waterway. It's a major waterway, and it has a huge economical importance for EU, of course, and the NATO. And therefore, I think it is plausible, it is possible that NATO will try to establish control over this area, to have full control over the Danube River, and therefore, if there will be deployments of French troops or any other NATO troops into Odessa region, most likely this is going to be the area where those troops will be located. In general, maybe 1 or 2 platoons or company will be sent to Odessa also, but that would not make any big difference. But this part is a whole different story. I hope I explained myself, and if we and my take on the situation, and if we will see in upcoming days and weeks increasing strikes of Russian forces in this landmass here, this most southern western part of Odessa region, then that definitely can be seen as an indicator that Moscow understands what NATO plans are in this area, and if strikes are increased, then most likely targets are NATO troops and their points of concentration of their military equipment. Yet again, this is just my take on the situation. Of course, who knows what is going on in reality, but I remind you that in last few years, this part almost was never striked, just few times. Okay, that's been said, let's continue. So as I said, media reports about strikes in Odessa region, and according to some channels, yet another air defense system of Kiev regime was destroyed. And also yesterday, Russian forces targeted their TV tower in Kharkov. Probably many of you did see this quite epic video and photo materials about this strike. On my Telegram, I did share some video of it. As you can see here, this upper part of the tower is crushed, and fell down. This is the point when that upper part fell down. Also video here from different angle. So and reasoning, by the way, behind this strike is that, according to Russian media reports, which is based on the sources in the military, Kiev regime was using this tower not just as a TV tower to transmit signal of TV and to use as a communication tool, but they were using this tower. Kiev regime was using this tower also for intelligence gathering, and this tower was used even by air defense forces of Kiev regime. So it was a legit target in that case for Russian side, and action was taken to neutralize this threat. Lenta.ru is reporting that Zelensky, second time in last couple of weeks, spoke about possible negotiations with Moscow, which is somewhat surprising. And well, this time he was a little more detailed, and he's saying that Kiev regime will prepare all the necessary paperwork, and all the necessary decisions will be made. Maybe he meant that there will be changes in constitution of Ukraine. There will be, maybe he will rebook his own decree that that prohibits anybody from Ukraine to conduct any official to conduct any negotiations with Russia. Maybe that's what he meant. Who knows? Because in any case, it is obvious for everybody that the so-called Zelensky's peace formula cannot be taken seriously, and Russia will refuse to talk about that so-called peace formula today, tomorrow, or any other time. So probably Zelensky and his Western masters, I guess, because Zelensky is not really decision maker, but his Western masters probably are working on some new peace formula, I guess. And Zelensky is beginning to promote this idea little by little. So in last couple of weeks, he second time spoke about possible negotiations with Moscow and peaceful settlement. And Russian side responded on this. Peskov, press spokesman of Russian president, was asked about this. And he said that, well, Moscow was and is ready to conduct talks, although, of course, these talks have to be reasonable and realistic. Moscow has no interest to spend time just for a talk. Quite understandable approach, which is unchanged, by the way. Since the beginning of special military operation, Moscow was open always for negotiations, although it was always principle for Russian side to have talks about real stuff, about real situation on the ground, with, you know, to be taken in account. And if Western ruling elites are ready to start these talks, because they are real decision makers when it comes to Ukraine, then well, Moscow is also open for talks. And RT is reporting that, although, by the way, I have some doubts that we will see negotiations on Ukrainian crisis anytime soon, at least in 2024, but yet again, I don't know. RT is reporting that US-led West on the verge of causing nuclear war, according to Foreign Minister of Russian Federation, Sergei Lavrov. The US-led collective West could cause a potentially catastrophic war between global nuclear powers due to its openly hostile stance towards Russia and efforts to undermine existing arms control agreements. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said on Monday on my Patreon during today's main news update. I will, of course, spoke about this in more detail, but he is absolutely correct, isn't it? This extreme Russophobia, extreme anti-Russian stance of collective Western ruling class, definitely endangering entire world, because I mean, there are some serious doubts about mental health of the Western ruling elites. I mean, let's be real here. I don't think those people that are at least officially in charge of the NATO or Western states, majority of the Western states, I don't think they are mentally healthy and intellectually capable of complex thinking. They are imbeciles, by the way. I mean, it's just too obvious. And pushing this world towards catastrophe, it's just too clear for everybody. RT is reporting that Stoltenberg was asked about NATO personnel in Ukraine, and this topic is yet again relevant because recently there was information from US that US is planning to increase its number of military advisors in Ukraine, and number of those advisors that was circulating on internet is about 60, which is not really relevant, but Stoltenberg, Secretary General of NATO, was asked about it, and he said that well, NATO member states have their military advisors into Ukraine, and those, according to Stoltenberg, those military advisors are in embassies and are not really participating in military operations, which is false, of course. Stoltenberg is lying. And I'm quite sure after this conflict will end, it will take maybe a couple of years, and we will learn how many thousand NATO military personnel was killed in action during the Ukrainian crisis. And it's going to be thousands, by the way. It's not going to be tens or hundreds. It's going to be thousands. TASS news agency is reporting that, according to Politico, US military aid for Kiev regime will be bigger than usually. Of course, Pentagon will try to get rid of some garbage it has in stockpiles. Now they have this 61 billion, so they have to spend it. And how they're gonna do it? They're gonna get rid of some garbage and send it old stockpile. They're gonna send it to Kiev regime and then order new military weapon systems and enrich US military industrial complex with additional, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 billion dollars. That's how it's gonna be. As I said from very beginning, this so-called Ukrainian aid package is basically last big paycheck for US military industrial complex and their corrupt officials from this Ukrainian crisis, and they will use all their influence to not miss this paycheck, and they did. They will receive additional billions, and in this package, new package, US will send to Kiev regime some outdated Bradley infantry fighting vehicles, total garbage by the way, M113 personal carriers, armored personal carriers, also total garbage by the way. Probably there will be some shells, artillery shells, some number of additional equipment, but overall we all understand that no matter how much equipment old or new Washington, London, or any other country will send to Kiev regime, outcome of this conflict is clear. Russia will emerge victorious. There can be no doubts about it. There can be no doubts about it, and it seems like at least some representatives of these Western ruling elites are realizing this, and they are panicking. They are panicking because from optics point of view, of course, Ukrainian crisis is probably biggest defeat of the NATO and the US since the Vietnam War. Afghanistan was also embarrassing, of course. Withdrawal from Afghanistan was a big setback from optics point of view for US and NATO, and well, Ukraine gonna be 10 times bigger. Ukrainian crisis is gonna be 10 times bigger. Nobody in this world will take NATO seriously no more after this conflict, and I don't think anybody can take NATO seriously even now, because it's so clear that this is a paper tiger. NATO forces, they are paper tigers, and they can kill civilians. They are good at it. They killed millions and millions of civilians in last 20-30 years worldwide. But when it comes to real combat, I mean, come on, man. They could not do nothing with the Taliban, by the way, that were armed with AKs. That's all they had, basically. And they ran away. And it was not just US operation, it was NATO operation, I remind you, in Afghanistan. And they ran away. So it is what it is. They can panic, by the way, but era of dominance of the West is coming to its end, which is good for humanity, by the way. Which is good for humanity because world end up in this extremely bad situation that we are right now because of the Western dominance. Because of the Western dominance. So it is definitely time rest of the world to take over and become in charge of their own destiny. Anyway, let's continue, and we have information that UK is also announces largest ever military aid package to Ukraine. Okay, UK will also get rid of some old stockpile, and then military industrial complex will receive some additional billions. In this case, millions, by the way. UK's military aid package, this one will be about 500 million, which is $617 million, 500 million euro. But still, it is money, isn't it? It's a quite sufficient paycheck for British military industrial complex. So they will send some boats, some missiles, most likely Storm Shadow missiles also, maybe some vehicles. But maybe even Challenger 2 tanks, although I have big doubts about it. But yet again, I mean, it's not gonna change nothing. Biggest issue that Kyiv regime and NATO has on Ukrainian battlefield is lack of manpower. It's a lack of manpower, and only way NATO can deal with this issue is to, first of all, and they will do it, by the way, they will start again pushing this narrative that military-age male refugees, Ukrainian male refugees in Europe, should be deported in Ukraine to be conscripted, then to be forcefully mobilized and sent to the battlefield and sacrificed, basically. Although even that would not be enough, and therefore, I guess Washington and London will demand from Zelensky to further decrease mobilization age from 25, which is now up to 18. And I remind you that in Ukraine's parliament, there already is a draft bill on this topic. And if that bill will be adopted, then Kyiv regime will start forcefully mobilizing from 18th year. And Zelensky recently spoke about how important it is that young people should participate in this conflict, because they are better adapted to new technologies, and they make better militaries. So that was definitely preparation of the ground for what is to come. Mobilization of youth also. As I said, by the way, West is sacrificing Ukrainian citizens for its geopolitical agenda, because they know perfectly well, and Boris Johnson, by the way, former Prime Minister of UK, was quite clear about it, that if West will lose this battle, this proxy war against Russia that they are waging, West will simultaneously lose its dominance. It's about dominance of the West over the world. That's what these Western so-called elites really care about, and Boris Johnson was clear about it, very open and direct. And I did share this video on my Telegram, by the way. You can scroll and find it. I shared that video a couple of days ago. So that's all they care about, is to maintain their dominance, and they are losing it. They're losing dominance, and they are losing mind over it. And they can sacrifice not just Ukraine, by the way, but they will probably sacrifice citizens of the Western collective West also, because, as I said, the main issue that Kyiv regime is facing now and NATO is facing in Ukraine is a severe lack of manpower. And I would not be surprised at all if in upcoming days and weeks and months, more and more media outlets, more and more high-ranking officials will start pushing narrative that NATO troops should be sent to Ukraine to support Kyiv regime. Let's wait and see. Anyway, RT is reporting, and preparation for that already has been started. RT is reporting that Financial Times, by the way, come up with the article that Ukrainians believe that 61 billion of US aid won't stop Russia, so that's not sufficient enough. And also Bloomberg come up with almost a similar article that new military aid from US, this 61 billion aid package, would not influence situation on the battlefield significantly. So you see here pattern, isn't it? In previous days I report about another media outlets that come up with almost the similar articles also. So it's clear, because we are talking about Western propaganda outlets, it's clear that Western ruling class already preparing ground, preparing societies in the West for not just additional funds to be thrown into this proxy war, but most likely they will raise a topic of necessity that West should send not just money and weapons, but West should help with its military also, because Kyiv regime lacks military personnel. And all the articles are pointing out, first of all, that topic, that Ukraine lacks manpower, which is true, by the way. And well, let's see how Western societies will react on it, because I don't know, man. I don't know. Majority of society in the West is under heavy propaganda influence of the Western ruling class, and I don't think they will be against sending their fellow citizens into this battlefield to be sacrificed also for Western ruling class and their desperate attempts to maintain dominance over the world. Let's see. RT is reporting that Ukraine is freezing all consular services for military-age men abroad. So Kyiv already is targeting military-age Ukrainian refugees outside of Ukraine and inside of Ukraine, of course. And this is just the beginning. I expect in upcoming weeks and months this topic to become very actively discussed in the media, among Western politicians, topic of military-age male refugees, Ukrainian refugees, and at some point, European states, one after another, will start, under whatever pretext, but start deporting them into Ukraine so that they will be sacrificed also. And RT is reporting that German communities can't take any more Ukrainians, local government boss said. So communities across Germany cannot take more refugees, particularly those arriving from Ukraine. Why particularly those who are arriving from Ukraine? I don't know. Maybe some Ukrainians acting like they are entitled of something. I don't know. Maybe that some of them are behaving badly. I just don't know. But it's articulated that Ukrainian refugees are an issue, and this was stated, by the way, that these local communities are overwhelmed by Ukrainian refugees. This was stated by President of Local Councils Associations, Local Councils Associations, and this information was published in Neu Osnabrück Zeitung newspaper. I butchered the name of that newspaper, sorry for that, but I don't know German. Well, Germany hosts an estimated 1,150,000 Ukrainian refugees, so 1.1 million Ukrainian refugees at least, and this is refugees that are registered. The real number probably are significantly bigger, and this is the largest number of Ukrainian refugees in Europe. Second is Poland with number of Ukrainian refugees, then Czech Republic and United Kingdom. So, well, yet again, by the way, we can take this information also as a beginning of increased pressure on Ukrainian refugees in the West, in the collective West, and at some point I'm 100% positive that we will see waves of deportations of military-age Ukrainian male refugees from Europe to Ukraine. It's just inevitable. It seems inevitable to me. RT is reporting that EU state's president rejects on Prime Minister's pre-war warning. Poland's Andrzej Duda has contradicted Prime Minister Donald Tusk, who had claimed that Western Europe is heading for a war. Well, maybe Polish leadership needs some brainstorm so that they will at least time to time come up with some similar statements, because it's quite often defense ministry says one thing, foreign ministry says another, prime minister something totally different, and president comes in and sends some other crap. I mean, something is wrong with Polish elites in general, including intellectually. I mean, they are too stupid, uneducated, stupid bastards, man. That's what they are. RIA Novosti is reporting that Aliyev, president of Azerbaijan, was in Moscow. Maybe he is still in Moscow. He had talks with the Russian president, Vladimir Putin. And it is interesting to note, I guess, that while Armenia is drifting away from Russia under influence of collective West, who managed to implement the puppets in Armenia, and of course Armenia's Prime Minister Pashinyan and his government, they all are assets of the Western secret services, undoubtedly. So while Armenia is drifting away from Russia, Azerbaijan is moving exactly the opposite way, getting closer and closer with Russia. And the economical, political relationships between the two countries are in quite okay level. I will say Russia has billions of dollars of investments in Azerbaijan. Azerbaijani business is also investing in Russia. Of course, they are using this good relationships between the countries to expand their businesses, and Russian market is a lucrative market for everybody. So yes, all good, by the way. Relationships between two countries developing smoothly and moving forward. TASS news agency is reporting that EU may put in its 14th package, sanctions package against Russia, will most likely ban imports of Russian LNG, which is a big deal, by the way. Which is a big deal because I just a couple of days ago reported, isn't it, that France, for example, among European states, is the biggest buyer of Russian LNG. Spain is also big in that. Netherlands, Denmark. I mean, after a number of countries cut purchases of Russian pipeline gas, well, simultaneously we can see significant increase in purchases of Russian LNG, liquefied natural gas, which is more expensive than pipeline gas. But I guess this was politically less controversial for these extremely anti-Russian individuals in the leadership of EU. And well, now it seems like they are realizing that they've been called out, and they want to ban imports of LNG from Russia. Okay, let's do it. Russia is supplying about 19%, according to Lente rule. Russia is supplying about 19% of LNG to Europe. Well, I'm quite sure Russian LNG will find its buyer somewhere in global south easy. But when it comes to European Union, members of European Union, well, they will be forced to buy LNG in US, which is #1 supplier of the LNG anyway, and will just pay little more, maybe 20 cents, 30% more. But you know, at this point, I guess European states get used to overpaying for everything. And it is what it is because of some ideology, the sick ideology that they have, and anti-Russian hysteria. RIA Novosti is reporting that Scholz, German Chancellor, made a statement that let me translate this, by the way. And he's wrong, man. He's wrong. So, come on now. So, era of fossil fuels fossil fuel use is coming to end, said German Chancellor Olaf Scholz. His words were quoted by the government press service. Okay, I hear these talks that era of fossil fuels is coming to end. I mean, since I remember myself, and for whatever reason, fossil fuels are still major drivers of the world economy. And I guess it's gonna stay this way at least another 50 or 100 years. All these talks about renewables and solar and wind and that kind of stuff, it may sound good, but I mean, realistically speaking, I'm quite sure that that fossil fuels are not going nowhere at least another 50 or 100 years, if not more, by the way, if not more. RT is reporting that Xi Jinping, Chinese leader, is to visit Russia, according to Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, and this visit will take place during the BRICS summit that is planned to that should take place in Kazan, city of Russia, capital of Russia's Tatarstan Autonomous Republic. And well, it's not just a Chinese leader, but all the other leaders, I guess, of the BRICS member states will participate, and it's gonna be historical summit, by the way. I'm quite sure about it. And I hope at least we will hear even before that summit and during the summit about concrete steps and agreements between the BRICS member states to create alternative financial and banking system for this world. And maybe even we will hear something about alternative world reserve currency, because it's just too necessary. There can be no doubts that Western ruling class weaponized Western financial and banking system, Western currencies, world reserve currencies, and they cannot be trusted any longer. Therefore, alternative is needed for entire world. This is just too obvious, and RT is reporting, and I will end this update. Now, I hope short update. Iran to accept Russia's credit cards, according to Izvestia newspaper. So Iran could start accepting Russian Mir debit and credit cards within the next few months. The trade attaché from Tehran's embassy in Moscow told the Izvestia newspaper on Monday. And well, quite good news. More and more countries that are able to ignore Western pressure from the collective West, those countries joining Russian this payment system, Mir, and it's good, by the way. It's good. Iran is a member of BRICS. Iran is a member of Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Relationships between Russia and Iran is improving on monthly basis, which is great, by the way. Which is great. I guess relationships between the two countries was never any better than now. And there is so much more to looking forward to, and to further improve relationships. And I believe it's, economically speaking, both countries will benefit immensely with the further improve of political and economical ties. So it's very good, I will say. And I will end this news on this optimistic note that Iran might soon join Russian Mir payment system, which will of course make it much easier for tourists to travel and for businesses to conduct some transactions. So it's all good. And by the way, well, 42 minutes, quite long update, but hopefully you will find it informative and interesting. And if so, please click that like button and leave some commentary. This is the only way we can fight back algorithm. And if you can, please click that like button and leave 1, 2, 3 commentaries, if you have time. And before I go, let me notice that well, if you like this channel, please consider to support my work with small donations through PayPal, Boosty, which is very convenient platform, by the way. It might be something new for many members of our community, but it's very effective and convenient for me personally, because I don't have to do nothing. This platform automatically converts donation into rubles and then sends to my account. Really convenient. And of course you can subscribe to my Patreon page, on which by the way I have some extra news updates and even apolitical video content on regular basis, so you might find it also interesting. All the links are under this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. This is it for now. Have a great day and take care.